Okay, so why don't we start? Oh, of course, my dog's gonna bark. Why don't you start by saying like your name and how old your son is and his name.
Okay. My name is Serena and I have a almost 3.5-year-old son named Levi.
Oh, and he's so cute. So tell me how, and I know it's hard because it's been a few years, but when you think back, how did you hear about hypnobirthing?
I heard about hypnobirthing from the birth center that I originally had been working with after I found out I was pregnant.
And what did you think about the class going into it and during the series?
Going into it, I was really excited. I was open to it. I had taken and been involved with hypnotherapy in the past, so I kind of had this sense of an idea of what it could be. But I really liked the modality and had a feeling that it was the right kind of approach to learn. And then through the series, just learned a lot and opened my eyes to how amazing our bodies are and what we're capable of doing, and trusting kind of the process, which is exactly the message I needed. So I really
so tell everybody your birth story. And I know you had a little bit of like a unique situation happen. So walk us through that with your pregnancy and then labor and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the pregnancy was great all around. My birth story, I think it was a blessing. I mean, you say it was unique. It from start to finish was about 4.5 hours. And I think when I realized it was probably time, I just was really breathing through the process. I think I was more anxious leading up, like the first couple of weeks, or last couple of weeks leading up to birth, just not knowing what to expect. And I was wondering like, oh, is now the time? But reminding myself to relax. And then when it happened, when it started, it was almost like your body just knows what to do. And I just kind of just went into this trance isn't the right word, but just a relaxation like mode, and got in the shower. And then, I mean, I was talking through the whole entire process. I mean, from calling you on the phone, calling, because you were my doula at the time, calling our midwife, everybody just thought I wasn't as far along as I was, because I was really relaxed and cracking jokes. But we realized it was time to go and needed to hightail it to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, my water broke and they're like, oh, you're 10 centimeters, you're ready to go. And Levi was born 43 minutes later. It was, I mean, looking back, I know there's people that, have completely different experiences, but mine was absolutely, perfect in my mind in terms of like, it really wasn't that bad. It was, and by bad, it wasn't like painful like people, I mean, I'm sure it was, but it just wasn't. It was great. It was absolutely amazing. And I think preparing my mind and just being at ease and just trusting the process was probably pretty important in terms of like being calm and just allowing your body to process through it. It was great. I talk about hypnobirthing all the time, and I'm always recommending it because I feel like it was very influential in the, great experience that I had.
Yeah. And from what I remember too, like you had a different plan, right? Like you were going to be at a birth center, but then baby Levi had other plans. You want to share a little bit about that?
Home. Yeah. So I wanted to birth at home. I wanted to birth at home. I was very adamant about birthing at home, even before I knew about hypnobirthing, because of just, your body feeling at home and just the benefits to it, in my mind. But unfortunately, Levi had or has a heart defect. And so because of that, that made me, of course, high risk, him a high risk. And he had to be born in a hospital that had a NICU that was available. But through that, I mean, in everything that I learned, I think through the resources of hypnobirthing, I just was so adamant about letting our bodies do the process, like that I didn't need all of this extra doctors and extra people in the room. And while I was very careful to not keep the right people out because of my son, but I knew with his heart defect, he was going to be born and he wasn't going to need like to be rushed off to the NICU. So it was important to me to make sure that I had that sacred space and that I didn't have 15 people standing in the room. So the hospital, thankfully, was very accommodating. I really had a great birth team that, you know, I advocated for myself. I did a lot of research. I learned a lot through class and just the different doctors that I worked with, that it was important to advocate for yourself because, you know, if you don't, nobody else is going to. And, you know, we know ourselves more than anybody else does. And so respecting that the hospitals have their protocols and their process, however, some of them are archaic and, you know, we deserve better. And the birthing process should not be scary and it should not be full of, you know, the old archaic doctor process that sometimes it is because they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
So,
and I have to say, like, having been an observer at your labor, which was so amazing and beautiful, I remember that when the NICU team came in as he was being born, I felt like your calm energy really transmuted to the room. And even the NICU team, I remember, was a lot more like hands off and calm. And I think that had a lot to do with your energy and how calm you were. And I think too that Levi probably did even better, you know, with his transition, even with the heart stuff, because of your calmness, which translates, of course, to like the happy hormones, and that helps his body to be like healthy and his immune system works and everything kind of turns on the way it's supposed to. And that probably benefited him so much. But I know that that can be really challenging. And when people have like one plan in mind and then it goes completely the other way. But that's like why I love your story and why I love hypnobirthing, is because you can apply it to any situation and any outcome and still have like a really positive experience. So I love that.
And it's a good reminder that you can't control everything.
Yeah.
And to just let go, especially when you have to allow your body to take over. You have to let your body do its job and calm the mind. You know, you just, you know, you want the best and the most beautiful experience, and knowing that you just need to surrender to allowing the body to do the amazing job that it's fully capable of doing.
Yeah, that's the hardest part for sure. So tell me, last question, what was your favorite tool or technique or the most helpful aspect of your hypnobirthing journey?
I think just the plethora of resources that I gained and the ability to kind of go through them and pick and choose the ones that worked best for me. I really enjoyed spinning babies. I think that helped. Levi was breech. And
that's right.
Flipping him the last week was like, I think it only took like a day, and I went back in and they're like, oh, he flipped. And I'm like, yes, you know, I was not interested in having a C-section. I really, really was adamant about all natural, just, you know, most calm birth possible. So That, and then I did the induction acupuncture right before a couple times. So I think, those and other resources that I don't remember, but just I know there was a lot of resources, so it was great.
I do try to be the resource queen, so
I am
I
the
like hearing
resource
that.
queen.
Well, thank you so much for
course.
sharing all of that with me.
You're welcome.